Welcome to that Groovy Scoobcast, your go-to audio hub for all things Scooby-Doo.
On the Flim Flam scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, I give it a 0. Welcome back, guys. My name is Derek.
And I'm Shannon.
And today, we're going to be reviewing an episode from the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. That being, that's Monstertainment. Overall thoughts, Shannon, on this one?
I didn't like Zomba.
No?
No, she made me want to vomit.
This may shock you. I actually really enjoyed this episode myself.
Okay. I didn't hate the episode. I liked the episode.
You just didn't like Zomba?
Yeah, Zomba was just her look and her voice and everything about her. I just wanted to vomit.
No. I thought she was pretty cool. She's pretty much like just a goblin-looking kind of creature, guys, if you haven't seen her. She's red-skinned with a bunch of green spots all over her. She's got jagged teeth and all that jazz. Her power being, like, I'm just going to kind of say interdimensional travel.
But she only uses it the one time.
Well, with the movies, but that's just because they happen to be watching a movie.
Yeah.
So I wonder, like, what broader powers she does possess. But I don't know. Before we get started on our review of that, we are going to kick off this week's Mystery Machine match, our weekly trivia competition where Shannon and I try to figure out which one of us knows Scooby-Doo better than the other. Last week I wasn't able to give you guys a total for our scores because I didn't have it handy, but I have them prepared today. Today I am starting off with 17 points, while Shannon starts with 14. Our gap widened last week from the looks of it, or maybe 2 weeks ago, but either way, she is trailing behind me.
Unfortunately. Sometimes I luck out.
Yeah. Well, as always, Shannon, you get to ask the first question today.
What planet do Shaggy, Scooby-Doo, and Scrappy travel to in Way Out Scooby?
Are there no options?
There's no options, but I'll give you some. Is it Jupiter, Mars, or Pluto?
Pluto sounds right.
It's not
I think
Pluto.
It was Pluto. It wasn't Pluto?
No,
Where'd they go?
Mars.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I remember a Scooby-Doo episode with Scrappy where they dealt with something with Pluto. I don't remember. But, okay. Here's your first question. Scooby-Doo gets chased over a waterfall by Jaguaro in what South American country? Is it Bolivia or Brazil?
Brazil.
It was Brazil.
Okay. Finish the name of the first series pilot episode. What a night for a...
Night.
I also think that was our first episode, so you definitely should know that.
Here's your next question. What famous Sandy appeared in the new Scooby-Doo movies? Sandy Duncan or Sandy Colfax?
Duncan?
It is Duncan.
What group, known for the song Miss Jackson, also has a song in the Scooby-Doo movie soundtrack, Outcast or Dashboard Confessional?
I think it's Dashboard Confessional.
Outcast.
No? Was it Outcast?
Yeah.
Okay. Jeez, I'm not doing good today. Here's your last question. Bigwig is a monster that escapes from an arcade owned by what member of Mystery Inc.?
Daphne?
It was Daphne.
She always makes the money.
Yeah. Well, geez, you really caught up this week, actually. You got all 3 of your points. I only got 1 of mine, bringing our totals to 17 and 18.
All right.
So you definitely filled in the gap right there. I'm proud of you.
I told you I could catch up.
Right. All right. Well, that was this week's Mystery Machine match. We'll move on to our review of That's Monstertainment. I've got a premise here for the episode coming from Scoobypedia. Horror host and demon chest escapee, Zomba, magically transports Scooby and the gang into the film The Son of the Bride of the Ghost of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
So, I want to talk about the title later. I don't want to talk about that now.
Okay. Because I do want to talk about that.
I do too. But we open the episode at a house. I don't know whose house, but it is someone's house. It's not Vincent's house.
It's not Vincent's house, and Daphne was sleeping upstairs. Those are the only facts we have.
So, would it be Daphne's house?
Possibly. Maybe they all live together.
I don't like that.
I mean, they essentially kidnapped Flim Flam anyway. So.
Well, I don't know. A lot of people do say that Daphne and Shaggy are an item in this era of Scooby-Doo.
I don't like that.
That's just something to wrangle with.
I don't like
especially
that.
because, she comes down the stairs, all intimately in her robes and everything like that. And I'm just like, okay.
It was 2 a.m.
I know, but that's what she said, and that's what she's doing. So I'm fine believing it's her house. I would think that it is her house as opposed to Shaggy, given how big and nice it is. I'm just gonna say that, but well, I guess that's not really even a fair statement either, because Shaggy has had nice houses in other Scooby-Doo media before, but
maybe they're renting it. Maybe they because they're going around the country, so maybe they're maybe
it's an Airbnb in the 70s and
like
80s.
I don't know.
There you go. So I just like that she's so concerned that everybody's up, and it's like, Daphne, you're clearly the only one who's tired, and it's 2 a.m. Go back to bed. Also,
I like that they all treat her like the mom. So, because she's like, it's 2 a.m, and then she's like, what do they have, what's keeping you awake? And Scrappy turns around and, tells her, and then he's like, can we stay up and watch it? And I'm like, Scrappy, you were already watching it.
Right. Honestly, if you'd been a little quieter, she probably wouldn't have even come downstairs. I do like, though, that, they're watching the movie, and they've got Vincent tuning in on the crystal ball.
On the crystal ball? I thought that was cute.
It's kind of like if you're FaceTiming someone and then you're watching TV together, but you're not watching the TV yourself. You're watching the TV through your phone screen from your friend's phone.
I've told you we've almost had to do that when I couldn't find an episode. I was like, just FaceTime me and face me towards the TV.
I'm just like, Vincent, you can teleport, and then he does teleport.
He does. So he's like, I'll bring the sodas. Why aren't you there? Yeah.
Right.
Social distancing, Derek.
Right. So Daphne does actually end up joining everybody. So she's going to grab the munchies, whatever that might be, because Shaggy's getting the popcorn and Vincent is getting the pop. So
I thought she just said we might need munchies.
She said we're going to need the munchies, and then Vincent says, I'll bring the pop, and then he appears with pop, and then Shaggy's like, I'm going to go make popcorn. 6 pounds of it, but yeah.
Yeah, I want to talk about that, but in a second.
So right before we see Shaggy's antics with the popcorn, Flim Flam does ask Scooby to take the chest of demons upstairs to put it in, under security and stuff like that. I don't like that they have the chest of demons just hanging out in the house right now, especially it's 2 a.m. At this time of night, what if everyone just fell asleep and then the chest is not being guarded?
Okay. I want to specifically note this moment because I'm going to come back to it later in the episode. But I want everyone to remember that Flim Flam is the one that reminds Scooby to go put it away and not forget to turn on the burglar alarm.
Yes.
Okay? Yep. I want everyone to remember that. We're going to come back to it later.
So we see Shaggy. He's in the kitchen, and he's like, okay, so there's 6 people here, so we need 6 bowls. With 6 bowls, we need 6 pounds of popcorn. And he puts it in the microwave.
8 million degrees!
Yeah. Yep, because that's how you make popcorn.
We don't get a specific time that he cooks it, though.
No.
So I am
curious. It's just indefinitely.
How long do I cook my 6 pounds of popcorn at 8 million degrees? I'd like to try this recipe.
I skipped over this one note. So when Scooby's putting away the chest and he arms the alarm system, one of the mechanisms in the alarm system is a 20-ton weight that falls from the ceiling.
Oh, yeah.
I did the math here. That's 40,000 pounds. And that would be crashing down not only on you, but also through your floor, because this is upstairs.
Yeah.
And also probably through the main floor. And maybe even the basement. That's a lot of weight being dropped on you. I'm just throwing that out there.
So 2 things real quick. First off, how does it not drop through the floor? Because it didn't hit... It missed Scooby, but it still hit the floor.
It would.
Yeah, so why didn't it? Also...
It's a lie.
It's not actually 20 tons. The chest of demons safe thing is behind one of those farmer paintings with...
Oh, it's like a Scooby version of the American Gothic painting, yeah.
So I don't really see Daphne owning that. So maybe they all live together. Maybe Daphne does own it. It just doesn't seem like a Daphne aesthetic.
None of this house does. Honestly, don't even throw that at me if you're gonna point point of that?
That giant fucking microwave that he put to 6 pounds of popcorn in.
Yeah, 8 million degrees. So I also don't like, and this is kind of going to spoil a little bit of the beginning of the Curse of the 13 Ghosts movies, guys. So, I mean, it's not really that big of a deal, but it's explained in that movie that Vincent was actually tasked at one point with capturing all the ghosts and putting them in the chest. So why is it that when Zomba appeared as the host of the horror segment that they were watching on the TV that he didn't recognize her?
I wonder that.
Because when they got transported into the movie world, he's just like, oh my gosh, Zomba must have been one of the 13 ghosts. And
but remember,
I don't know,
because there was that second guy that he had to capture him with. So maybe
I know,
Zomba.
I don't want to talk about that though. But,
no, I know, but so maybe Zomba wasn't like one of his.
Well, aside from that though, I guess I can't judge this episode based on the actions of a movie that came out 30 years later.
Yeah.
However, Vincent is shown otherwise throughout this series to have extensive knowledge on the ghosts themselves.
Yeah.
Like, he has a pretty good idea of what they can all do, what they're like. So I feel like he should have just known anyway who she is and what she does. Like, this should not have been a surprise when he saw her pop up on the screen. He'd have been like, oh my gosh, there's the ghost.
Well, and before the movie even came out, you and I had speculated that he, knew more than he was letting on.
Yes, definitely. So I also made a note that this is the very first episode we're seeing where Vincent is really, on the adventure with them.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time it's been him, from afar, maybe at his castle or wherever he is hanging out at.
Yeah.
Communicating with them through the crystal ball. This time he's actually there with them. And, I mean, he didn't spend a lot of time with them, but, I like that he was actually involved with the events this time.
He wasn't just this random crystal ball guy. He actually did something.
So when they get transported into the movie, though, I like that Zomba was just like, all right, now it's time for the son of the bride of the ghost of Frankenstein. And it shows Scooby in, a logo lockup where it says Rana Rarera. Yeah. And it's a play on of Hanna-Barbera. I just thought that was super cute.
I thought it was cute because it was a play on Hanna-Barbera and also a play on, the lion roaring.
Yes, the MGM lion, yeah.
Also with that, I had 2 questions. Because who are those ghouls that are filming Zomba? Because, yeah, because it was weird. I just think that would have been a perfect opportunity to have...
Weird and Bogle.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that, yep.
Because
they're not in this episode.
No, they're not.
Were they in the last one we reviewed?
I don't think so.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, no, they were. It was,
okay, then they weren't in the second one. So maybe they're in every other one?
I don't know. But they weren't in this one. And this would have been a good opportunity for them to be there, I agree.
Because that's the thing, just for a simple thing. They didn't need lines. They could have literally just been holding the camera like those ghouls were. And it would have been fine. It would have been a cute little cameo. Because they're always trying to help the demons.
Right.
Yeah.
So, when they're transported into the movie, we're at the part in the movie where the townspeople are chasing Dr. Frankenstein and Egad through the cemetery.
Yeah.
A couple notes here. Maybe I'm just not fresh on my Frankenstein knowledge. Doesn't the townspeople don't chase them into the cemetery or wherever they're going until after he creates the monster, right? Well, I guess this also involves the bride, so this isn't really even going off of the original movie.
No, I mean, and in the... Okay, so the movie and the book are different, and then also, every movie is a little bit different. But basically, from what I've gathered, the consistency from each thing is that the town just kind of hates Frankenstein in general, because he's always just been this mad scientist.
Okay.
So then, once he makes the monster, that's when, they hate him more. And he runs away because he hates the monster, too. It's a whole thing, but...
Yeah, but the monster's not alive yet, so I'm curious what's prompting the townspeople to chase him into the cemetery.
He probably just said, gravity's real, and they were like, fuck that guy.
Honestly. And they brought torches.
Yeah.
They brought torches, so the torch theme this season is continuing.
Yeah.
I made a note that they spelled cemetery wrong again.
Yep. I noticed that, too. I was going to wait to see if you brought it up.
You know I'm going to bring it up.
Yeah.
Whenever there's a cemetery involved in Scooby-Doo, I hone in on that. Because that's one of the number one things I notice.
I wonder why they spell it wrong every single time.
It's an easy thing to miss. I used to spell it wrong, too.
Yeah,
so
but these are professionals. No, these are professional
They're
people.
animating Scooby-Doo cartoons in the 1980s. They are not professionals.
So you can't spell something correctly?
Can you? You don't spell half the shit you text me correctly.
I'm not a professional writer. Like, that's why you have editors and shit.
Well, I mean, the writers aren't necessarily, like, the artists, because the artists are the one that's actually writing out cemetery on
I
the
don't know, man. I'm just saying, I wish that they would just get it right one time.
So, once they're in the world of the movie, we see Zomba. She's now in the house, and she has a mission where she's going to try and find the chest, and she's going to release the other ghosts, and then subsequently destroy the chest so they can't be recaptured again. That's a good plan.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, she's got the best plan so far.
I like, though, that the ghosts... Okay, at least this one. I don't really even remember the other ghosts at this point because it's been so long. But I like that Zomba is concerned about the welfare of the other ghosts. Yeah. She's like, I need to let out my buddies who've been recaptured, and then I can destroy the chest. Like, she's not just going to see it and then destroy it. Because, like, honestly, that's probably what I would do if I were an evil ghost as one of the most powerful spirits in the world. But... she's out to look out for her comrades.
Well, I'm curious as, like, if, because it's the 13 most powerful ghosts, so I'm curious as to, like, if they all know each other, and they all, like, have a main goal.
Well, they have to know each other. They've been trapped in a chest together for millennia.
Yeah, you're right.
So, I like that when they're in the movie, everything is black and white, so you can kind of tell what is... like the gang and what's not the gang. There are weird inconsistencies sometimes though where the sky is shaded blue, I noticed. Just something I noticed when watching this episode. We meet Frankenstein and Egad, so they become self-aware in this movie. Yep. And I'm curious because, okay, I'm going to go a little meta here. So we've seen, you and I have both seen Scooby Natural.
Yes. So
we know that when Sam and Dean, and eventually Castiel, once they entered the Scooby-Doo Where Are You episode, in that episode, the gang became kind of self-aware as well. And then the events of the movie changed because now there's a ghost involved, like a real ghost, and things were changing within the movie's world. And I like to think that Zomba's influence here is doing the same thing.
Okay.
So, like, that's how Dr. Frankenstein and Egad become self-aware. It's not because they already were. It's because the gang's presence in this world is disrupting the world itself.
All right. No, I'll accept it. My only question with that is how come it's only Frankenstein and Egad?
I think it's because one of the members of the gang actually told them that they don't belong here. I think they said that they're in a movie.
Okay.
I don't think the other people were informed, and also they're townspeople. I don't care. But yeah. So,
well, because with the monster, at one point, we'll get there, but, like, when Flim Flam comes up and is like, cut, the monster, like, is still unaware that he's in a movie, but he does react to Flim Flam yelling, cut. So But
in that world, though, he is a monster.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. Yep. I don't know how it works. I can't say how interdimensional movie travel works, but that's my theory of what's going on here.
No, I'll accept it. It's good. It's the best thing we've got.
I don't like, though, that they decide to just run along with the movie because Frankenstein and Egad quit, because they're just like, we're tired of doing this over and over again. So here, now you can be us. And it's like, okay, but why would they follow through with that?
Yeah, because I would just be like, no, I'm okay, thank you.
No, I'm all right. Like, how about just none of us be the characters and we all go our separate ways? Yep. Like, because then I think it was Vincent who's like, okay, how about we just play along with the movie until I figure out what to do? It's like, no, run and hide. Well, use your magical powers to teleport elsewhere and deal with it on your own pace. Like,
I mean, okay, here's my thing. Because they say that it's their favorite movie, they know every line of it, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, Scrappy and Flim Flam have said that repetitively, yes.
So, if they know every line, they know exactly what's going to happen. I guess this is supposed to be like a scary movie, so I guess if I got transported into my favorite scary movie, I wouldn't love that. That'd be kind of scary, even if I knew what was coming up. I'd still kind of be scared. But, like, in general, if I got transported into, like, a really cool movie that wasn't going to kill me, I could see going along with it. Just have fun with it.
Knowing what's happening, though, would be your advantage. Like, yeah. If you're teleported into the original Halloween movie, you just go and leave the house. You don't stay in the house with Michael Myers.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, he could still find me, though.
They have a one-up over everybody else in this world.
And at that point, you know how to kill him, right? So you just do it first, and then there's no movie. Roll the credits.
But that's so long as our theory runs, though, that the other characters are going to react the normal way that they do because they don't know they're in a movie yet.
Yeah.
Because Frankenstein and Egad found out, and then they were just like, you know what, actually, we're going to quit. We're not doing this movie shit anymore. The townspeople don't know yet.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
There was, an episode of Charmed way back in the day, and one of the characters got transported into her favorite movie, and it was like a love movie, like a romance movie.
Okay.
And I don't remember if I think her character, like, she became her own character, so she didn't take the place of anything, but just her being there changed everybody else, so they were still kind of, like, reacting the way their character would react, but they weren't, like, but the script changed, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but we can't follow those rules, though, because that doesn't involve Scooby-Doo.
I know.
The Scooby Natural events are okay, because that involves Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
I made a note that Vincent runs funny. Just to change subjects abruptly. He just runs like a dork.
Okay, I also want to talk about how there's just this random secret tunnel in the cemetery that leads to the castle. Frankenstein's house. Yeah.
I'm not mad about it. I mean, if he's constantly having to come out here to steal dead body parts, I would probably also construct a tunnel.
You're right. Dead body parts. I keep forgetting about that. Except the monster's a dog, so, like, what body parts is he stealing?
Maybe it's a pet cemetery.
Yeah, that's some pet cemetery shit, and that is scary in and of itself.
Right. Scooby has become Frankenscoob.
Yep.
Now, because Frankenstein quit his character, and Scrappy takes over as Egad. So, they arrive in the castle, and Scrappy tells Scooby it's time for him to make the monster and bring him to life, and Scooby faints. And I like this line that Scrappy says. He looks at the camera, and he's like, we lose more mad scientists that way.
Yeah.
And we get a funny moment with Vincent and Flim Flam, who are watching them as they're acting out the scene. And Vincent's like, so how's the acting going? And Flim Flam goes, on the Flim Flam scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, I give it a 0. He is not happy with their rendition of this film.
Well, yeah, and I'm not either, because then you get Daphne running in as the bride of Frankenscoob. And so she comes...
the soon-to-be bride, because they're not married yet.
Well, because frickin' Scooby stood her up at the altar.
Left her at the altar.
And then we get Constable von Schaggenbaum.
Right. Okay, this is where I want to talk about the title now. So, again, the title of the movie, guys, is called The Son of the Bride of the Ghost of Frankenstein. So, there's some layers here.
Okay.
The primary character, from the looks of it in this movie, would be Dr. Frankenstein, and then the son being the dog monster.
Yeah.
But because of how the title is written, the dog monster is actually the main character. Mm-hmm. So then there's the bride, who is not actually his bride because he stood her up. And it's not even just Scooby, because Dr. Frankenstein was standing her up too, evidently. Uh-huh. Because he quit his part. Mm-hmm. He is no longer Dr. Frankenstein. We don't know where he went. And just because Daphne took over the part of the bride doesn't mean there isn't a bride, though, somewhere. Yeah. So the bride is somewhere else in this movie world doing her own thing, right?
She also quit. She got tired of getting stood up every day, so she also quit.
I guess. But then also, the ghost of Frankenstein, which implies that the doctor, or in this case now, Scooby, die and then become ghosts.
Okay. Can I say what I assume?
Sure.
Okay. So, you remember how Scooby gets stuck on the plate as it's going up to electrocute the monster and wake him up?
You think he died then?
Okay, so I think the original Dr. Frankenstein dies in that moment. But because Scooby is self-aware, he doesn't die. So I think in that moment, Frankenstein would have normally died. So now he's a ghost. Then you've got the bride of Frankenstein and the son. Now, my thought initially when I saw it, because I knew what was going to happen, but I was like, I think it'd be kind of funny because it's the son of the bride and not just the son of Frankenstein. So I was like, what if Frankenstein is a stepdad? What if these characters have nothing to do with the monster? What if this is just Frankenstein being a stepdad?
And then dying in the process.
Like, your stepdad is just a mad scientist and then he fucking died, so now you have to take over the movie. So that's why it's the son of the bride of the, whatever. And that's why it says bride and not wife, because she is a bride that was supposed to be married to Frankenstein, but he died, so they never got married.
Okay. This is a really complicated horror movie for Scrappy and Flim Flam. I made a note because Vincent is toying with the crystal ball because he's trying to get it working so they can get back to the real world. Mm-hmm. And he says that that he's trying to heat up the crystal ball itself so he can communicate with the real world. So I have a theory, another one, when it comes to these supernatural worlds and what they're doing right now. You know how they always say that, like, the presence of ghosts and supernatural things makes, like, the surroundings colder?
Yeah.
So I think that because they're in a supernatural, interdimensional world right now that's being controlled by a supernatural force, that being Zomba, the world is naturally colder on average compared to the real world.
Okay.
Which is dulling the powers of the crystal ball, because the crystal ball and its mystic fluids, as Vincent calls it later, I hated when he said that, but the mystic fluids aren't warm enough to make the ball operate on a normal scale.
Okay.
Because the world that it's existing in right now is colder naturally.
No, honestly, that makes a lot of sense.
We're, like, actually becoming supernatural scientists right now, guys.
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
Honestly, not mad about it.
We're figuring this shit out.
We are.
Right when Shaggy comes in and we found out he's taking over as Constable von Shaggenbaum. Mm-hmm. I want to know what that character did in the real movie, by the way, but anyway. He comes charging in and he's like, I have to stop you, Frankenscoob. And he's like, why? And so then Shaggy goes, because you're insane. And that really hurts Scooby's feelings, and he starts crying, and he's like, I'm not insane. I'm not insane.
Right.
And so then Shaggy has to be like, no, Scooby, you're not insane. Like, I'm playing the part, remember? And he goes, you're just as sane as I am. Don't worry. And then Daphne leans over, and she's like, yeah, that means you're both crazy. Like, can we just move on?
But I like that Scooby then, like, starts to actually really be crazy with his part.
Yeah.
Like, he's got, like, the bags underneath his eyes and shit. I just thought that was funny. I'm assuming when I took this note, we cut back over to Zomba being in the house, trying to get the chest out of the alarm system.
Yeah.
I made a note that the house changed colors.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
At the beginning of the episode, it's like a gray, kind of. And when we see it again, it's brown now. Just something I noticed. It's not important. But we see that Zomba's now trying to get the chest out from behind the Scooby American Gothic painting. I like that Zomba is specifically, like, just saying, I'll stop you, Scooby, and friends. But, like, they're always targeting Scooby.
Well, it was both of them that opened the chest.
Right. Like, Shaggy is also involved.
Fuck Shaggy.
Honestly, if you follow the logic that Vincent is the one that put them in the chest to begin with, or even just Vincent is very knowledgeable about the ghosts, and they know who he is, I feel like that they would be more so holding a grudge against Vincent.
I feel like they would want to get revenge from Vincent, but they would want to, like, kill Scooby and Shaggy so that they couldn't put them back in the chest. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I did note that after a few attempts that she has been, waging against all the mechanisms in the alarm system, she did manage to get the chest out from behind the painting. I noted that she put the duck toy that was in the room in a cage. Yeah. I'm curious what the duck toy does, but I like that the ducks are becoming a theme in the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo world as well.
I know. Okay, so you remember at the beginning of the episode, and I said we were going to come back.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
Okay. So I want to know why Flim Flam, a literal child, does not trust grown adults with the chest of demons. Because Flim Flam tells Scooby, hey, don't forget to go put that chest in there. Don't forget to turn on the burglar alarm. Like, hands him the chest. It's all there. It's all good. Okay? Also, keep in mind, remember, Flim Flam has magic pockets.
Yes.
We established
yes. I'm so glad that we established that.
Yes. So Flim Flam has magic pockets. We established this way before. Go back and listen to those episodes. So Zomba finally gets this chest out of the safe. She opens it up. She's like, yeah, I'm going to let my people out, blah, 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 blah. She opens it up, and it says made in Taiwan. So why does Flim Flam not trust them with the actual chest of demons? She gets so mad, and she's like, where's the chest of demons? And Flim Flam flat out is just like, I've got it. You're going to have to come here and come get it from me. And I'm like, why? Why do you have it? I mean, like, thank you for having it because, like, obviously, but, like, why? You are a literal child. Now, these are grown adults.
I agree. I have a few notes, too. I like that they have a replica of the chest, though, that's been made.
I wonder how many they have.
I don't know. But this has been a personal choice of mine, and it worked out for the gang, so I'm not mad about it. But if I were Flim Flam in this situation, and I had the real chest hanging out in my magic pockets while the fake one is in the real world, I would not have told Zomba that I have it.
Nope. I would have been like, oh, it's not there, holy guacamole.
Now, Zomba probably would have come to the movie world anyway, you know, so she can probably, like, just torture one of them to tell her where it is.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have just flat out just pulled it out of my magic pocket and been like, here, bitch, I got it right here. Come get it. Like, no, because that's exactly what she did. She teleported right into the same room as them. And I was like, give it to me. Like, what did you expect her to do, Flim Flam, in response to that taunting?
It's because he's a child.
He is a child.
You know
what?
I
know, but...
You know what we also haven't gotten from Flim Flam, so maybe this is also why. But you remember in past episodes we used to always get a quote from the Immortal Confused one.
Yes, the Immortal Confused one.
And we haven't gotten a quote from him the last couple of times that we've watched this show. So I'm wondering if the Immortal Confused one stopped talking to him, and that's why he makes bad decisions. Yes. His conscience is gone.
Yep. I like that.
Yeah.
So we cut over to the gang. Scooby has brought the dog monster to life successfully. But before we actually see him do that, I took a note about what Daphne and Shaggy are doing. Yeah. So Shaggy is listening to music and vacuuming the lab, and Daphne is just blow drying her hair.
For what reason? For why?
There's no joke here, though. You know, like, there's no joke that sets up them cleaning up the lab or getting out of their costume, because they're no longer in their Bride of Frankenstein and Constable costumes. What are they doing?
And, you know, I think the unintentional gag here is that electricity isn't supposed to be real right now. Like, or not real, but, like, they don't have it.
They haven't harnessed it, yes.
Yeah, because they're all using torches, and they have to use electricity to bring the Frankenstein monster to life.
So you think this is just a joke, being on the electricity and stuff that they get from the shock?
I don't know if it's intentional, but, like, if you have enough electricity to listen to music, blow dry your hair, and vacuum, then you've got the emergency pads that you can shock a heart back to life, and that's all you actually need to bring the Frankenstein monster to life.
So wait, are you suggesting that they're doing those things to bring the monster to life?
No, I think, I just think they were doing it randomly. But I'm saying if you have enough electricity to do all of that, then you've obviously got the technology to you don't have to drag him all the way up to the fucking roof to have electricity electrocute him.
I think it's just because of the shock of the lightning bolt itself. What are they doing? I don't, yay, I have electricity, so I'm going to start vacuuming the lab for reasons.
Yeah.
This fictional movie lab.
Yeah, no, I don't like it. Nope. It was stupid.
This lab isn't even a real place.
It's a movie! Dude, I would have fucked that lab up and then just left. I would have been like, what's this chemical? And then just thrown it. I would have just fucked it up. Because you know when you're watching a movie and you're like, I bet all those bottles are just, like, prop bottles. I bet they're not actually filled with anything. Oh, man. I would test that theory. I'd be throwing everything. Let me set a fire. And then Zomba would take me home.
Right.
So it'd be okay.
The monster comes to life, and Scooby's like, it's alive, it's alive. And Shaggy says, yes, it's alive, but is it paper trained? I thought that was funny.
Because it's a dog.
there's a bunch of antics going on with the monster attacking them. They do a makeup gag with him, lock him in a room. I'm cutting over a lot of this ending stuff, guys, because it's really just a lot of Scooby antics, you know. The monster attacks Zomba. I did make a note, though, that Vincent is heating up the crystal ball, kind of like with a Bunsen fire.
Burner.
Yes, which I think just follows my theory about the mystic fluid needing to be hot enough to operate the ball. Yeah. Except that Flim Flam then starts pressing a bunch of buttons on this machine that's also supposed to be helping heat up the ball, and then it just explodes.
Yeah, no, I didn't like that either. And also, why are you using fire if you have electricity? Because you could literally just take the blow dryer too, and
I think it's because it's a magical artifact, and I wouldn't want to mess with that shit either. You're mixing magic and science, and that doesn't always play out, Shannon.
I get that. But could you also imagine your crystal ball putting fire to it? What if you burn it? Does crystal burn?
Well, okay, I think that Vincent knows what he's doing with the fire, but I don't like the idea of using the machinery in this fictional Frankenstein movie world.
Especially when you know it's all fiction. Like, how is any of this working? What if it's all just props and none of it works?
Right. It sends like a shockwave of energy that just explodes the castle interior to a certain extent.
Oh yeah.
The beams fall on the monster, and Scooby now has like paternal instincts for the monster. And
I didn't like that at all. He falls and he's like, "Oh, help me." And then Scooby's just like, "Oh, my son." And I'm like, you were so scared of him 2 seconds ago.
Right. And Shaggy's like, "You can't lift it." And Scooby goes Popeye style eating the Scooby snacks.
I did. I wrote that down. I put Scooby snacks equals Popeye spinach.
Yes.
He turns into like Super Scooby.
Yep. He lifts the beam, saves the monster. They run to the top of the castle, and Zomba's going after them to try and get the chest.
They take the elevator, though.
Yes, Zomba went up the steps.
See, again, electricity.
Yep. I also noticed that the townspeople are trying to barge into the lab, and they're very
trying
slow.
This whole time. No, because they said they showed them for like half a second in the beginning, and then so they've been doing this the whole time. So at this point, all the townspeople are just like, heave.
Oh. Right. And, even when they come in, they're like walking super slow.
They're
it's like,
so
guys,
tired.
You're in the lab now. Start raising hell.
Right. Again, I would just help them destroy the shit out of that castle. I'd be like, they're not looking for me. Let me set fire to this. There's no consequences in this world. This is where my chaos reigns.
Well, they don't know that though. Again.
No, we would if we were in there.
No. Yeah, but the townspeople, this is their actual world.
Yeah. No, the townspeople want to raise hell and burn this castle down. Me, as, like, Daphne, Vincent, whoever I'm in there as, I know that there's no consequences, and I know, because at this point they're like, if we capture Zomba, then she'll just send us home.
Right.
And so at that point, I would just start setting fire to everything, because the only thing I have to do now is set fires and capture Zomba. That's it.
Scooby and Shaggy are on the windmill now. They're trying to get away from Zomba. Zomba's trying to capture the chest from Scooby, and the monster ends up following all of them up there. The windmill starts spinning like super fast, and it launches Shaggy into Vince's arms hanging out a window.
Okay, I wanted to make a comment on this because I don't think that Vincent likes Shaggy.
I agree.
Okay, so throughout this whole episode, everyone is calling Vincent Vince. Every single person calls him Vince.
Yes.
So then Vincent catches Shaggy, and Shaggy goes, "Nice catch, Vince, thanks." And he goes, "That's Mr. Von Ghoul to you." And I was like, oh, shit. Like, what the hell did Shaggy do? Vincent's like, "You're not my friend? Fuck off."
Right, like, he's setting a boundary right there with Shaggy.
Yes, yeah. He deserves to set boundaries, but, like, that was...
It was funny. So, I think it was Flim Flam who catches Scooby, and then Scrappy who catches the chest? Yeah. Or maybe the other way around.
No, Flim Flam catches Scooby, because then he goes, he's like, "I caught you, pal," or "I'll get you, pal."
Okay.
Because that's where I was like, yeah, Vincent just doesn't like Shaggy.
And then Zomba comes flying off of the windmill, too, and she lands right in the chest. and her going into the chest breaks the spell, and now they're all in the real world again.
Yeah.
I enjoy that the room is still filled with popcorn.
I do, yeah.
Because that seems like something that the animation errors that you usually see in this show
where they just forget.
Like, there just be no more popcorn. Like, did Zomba eat it? But
I did like that Zomba was, like, eating the popcorn throughout the whole time she was trying to do whatever. That was a funny little thing. After they all get home, and they're like, finally, we're home. And I don't remember, like, somebody says something, and then Daphne's like, look in the kitchen, and they all look there, and then the fucking monster is just sitting there.
Yep, the Frankenscoob monster is
How did he get out?
Popcorn. I don't know. I don't know what the logic is there, because he's of that world.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, if they would have escaped through the crystal ball, I could see the monster, like, also jumping into the crystal ball.
Right, because the crystal ball has teleportation abilities.
Yeah.
Like, that could very well be feasible.
But
no,
because the spell broke, nobody was touching him. Like, he was,
Is it maybe because, okay, my only guess, and I'm just going to go very far-fetched, maybe it's because he was created by Scooby. Like, maybe because Scooby and the gang, who are otherworldly beings, had a hand in his creation. Now he's, like, of that world, but also not.
Maybe.
That's literally my only way to say that.
So do you think that, like, if they would have stayed there for years and Shaggy would have, like, fallen in love with one of the village people and had a baby, and then finally they got the spell to break, that Shaggy and his kid would transport back to the new world, leaving the mother behind?
Possibly. I don't know. I don't know how it works. That's my only theory.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of theories today, guys. That's one of them.
We're a theory channel now.
We are a theory channel, yes. Do you have any other notes for the episode? Because I'm done.
That's it. That's all I had.
Okay, what do you give it on the Scooby Snackometer then?
I don't know. I really didn't decide. I did like the episode. Zomba just drove me nuts, but, like, she had a lot of good, like, little one-liners and, like, silly things.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it a 6.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other thoughts?
I think that's it. Like, I liked it. We've had better. I hope there's better coming.
I'm giving it a 7, actually.
I was teetering on 7, but I don't think I liked it that much.
I don't normally like to compare episodes, usually, but I think this is a series that warrants it. And just because of the really off-the-wall quality that some episodes have compared to others, I think this one was probably the second best after the original episode.
You know what we didn't have in this episode?
What?
One of those stupid fucking sing-alongs.
Yes, and I think that's probably contributing to my higher score, because I hate those fucking songs.
Can I bump my vote up? I'll give it a 7 just for not having that fucking sing-along. I didn't even think about it till just now.
Oh, I hate those fucking songs.
It popped into my head that I was like, what? Like, oh my god, no fucking sing-alongs.
I didn't even think about that. Yep. You're right.
We didn't have a Row Row Your Boat. We didn't have a Me and My Shadow Demon. There was no sing-along.
You're completely right. Yeah.
She might be my favorite demon just for that reason.
No, I liked Maldor more.
Maldor, I think...
Dubra.
Yeah, I think Maldor definitely should have been, like, the very last demon, because he was cool.
I liked his design, and I liked his powers more. But this episode, I thoroughly enjoyed more. So you said you're changing your score to a 7 then?
I'll give it a 7,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
fuck it. There was no sing-along. I'll give it a 7.
I liked the dark atmosphere in this episode. There was some funny gags. They didn't get in the way of the story. And I didn't have a lot of questions that I felt really ruined the story for me. So I really thought this was a good one. And
that's the thing. It's like, because sometimes if we can even come up with, like, a funny theory ourselves, that'll close it out enough for me to be like, yeah, no, I liked this episode. And that's what we were kind of able to do.
Right. So with your 7, my 7, that Groovy Scoobcast is awarding That's Monstertainment a 7 out of 10 on the Scooby Snackometer.
All right.
So my fun fact of the week is not all that great. Admittedly, I really didn't have time to think of one. I just wanted to note, though, because I don't really think we've talked about it extensively, that Shaggy, has his red shirt in this series. And this is the only series, like actual TV series, we see it in. However, we do see it in 4 movies.
Okay.
We see it in Scooby-Doo Meets the Boo Brothers, Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School, Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf, and also with the cyber version of Shaggy in Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase.
So do you think all of those are, like, part of the same universe since he wears the same shirt?
No. Maybe the first three, not Cyber Chase, though. Because Cyber Chase was dealing with a computer version of Shaggy, but there's that. So next week, we are going to be moving on to a pup named Scooby-Doo. Shannon, would you like to randomize what episode we're going to be watching?
Yes, I am so excited.
Okay, here we go.
Next week, we are going to watch 3 shorts from a pup named Scooby-Doo.
I forgot that happened once in this show.
Yes.
Oh.
So we will be watching Catcher on the Sly, The Ghost of Mrs. I think it's Shushman?
Shushum? I think the title is Shushum.
Okay. And The Wrath of Waitrose.
Oh, geez. Okay. This will be interesting.
It will be interesting.
Here's some premises for those episodes if you'd like to hear them. Here's Catcher on the Sly. It's Scooby's bath day, but is he doomed when the dog catcher, Buster McMuttmauler, is after him?
Imagine naming your son Buster McMuttmauler.
And then he becomes a dog catcher, honestly.
And him not being a dog catcher.
Like, what other job could you possibly
Dr.
have?
Dr. McMuttmauler, please?
It's like Sheriff Stone. Here's the premise for The Ghost of Mrs. Shushum. The ghost of the librarian from the old Coolsville Library is after Shaggy for a missing book, Pizza Parrot, and the Butterbean Bunnies, and wants it in before midnight. Okay.
Yes. Imagine that our old librarian just died, and the very first thing she did is come to your fucking house going, "You owe me a book, bitch."
That's quite a grudge, to be honest. I have many grudges in my life.
Fuck that one individual student.
So here's the last one, The Wrath of Waitrose. The guys stop for a snack, but soon find out that they can't afford to pay for it. What would Commander Cool and Mellow Mutt do to stop the evil waiter Waitrose from getting them? That's a random question to go after that, but okay.
My issue here is that they're children. So, like, where are your parents? Call them. They will pay for your food. And also, the waitress isn't evil for trying to get you to pay for what you already ate.
I don't know. We'll talk about it next week. In Scooby-Doo news, I just wanted to remind everybody about the Scooby-Doo and Guess Who, the complete first season DVD set coming out next month. That's going to be pretty exciting. There's also the upcoming Scooby-Doo, The Sword and the Scoob movie coming out early next year. Both of those are pretty cool things to look forward to, I think. And since Christmas is coming up, I definitely recommend everyone be looking out for cool Scooby-Doo merch for their Scooby-Doo fan friends and family. I highly recommend Hot Topic stuff because they have hundreds of Scooby-Doo things. You cannot go wrong with literally anything on that site. So, go check it out. If you want to talk to us about That's Monstertainment or any of the upcoming Pup Named Scooby-Doo episodes, or really anything Scooby-Doo related for that matter, you can find us on social media. We are on Facebook and Instagram at That Groovy Scoobcast and Twitter at Groovy Scoobcast.
You can also check out our website, www.thatgroovyscoobcast.com. We are now on YouTube at That Groovy Scoobcast. You can also send us an email at thatgroovyscoobcast@gmail.com.
And with that, we hope that you enjoyed That Groovy Scoobcast.
Come back next week for Scooby Snack-filled time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.